Hi guys, how are you? I'm Sonja and I'm so excited. I'm excited because November 4th is Model Boot Camp and it's going to give me a rare opportunity to work with a handful of models and aspiring models, training and working with you, sharing my experience with you um, from the onset of my career as an aspiring model to becoming a national professional model. And I really want to share with you the things that I did that I felt were very instrumental for me, and things that I actually just had to learn on my own through trial and error and spending a ton of money. Um, so it was a very expensive lesson. Just letting you know what to do during your aspiring model phase that many of you may be in right now. There are key things that I feel that you can do to perhaps accelerate the time frame of you becoming a signed model and a professional model. I'm going to share those things November 4th at Model Boot Camp because there are certain things I think that you can do right now. There are things with regard to you developing yourself for the marketplace, marketing yourself to where you're acceptable to an agency, because one of the things is that rejection in this industry is real. Rejection and I know each other so well because I was rejected. It was like time and time again. I just received so much rejection. I was even told by agencies I'm not model material. I was too this, I was too that. And that can be very discouraging. But there are some things that I did during that process of going through that. There are some things that I did that are going to be very important in the event that you've been rejected. Perhaps some of you will experience rejection. I want to really share with you what to do. How do you turn rejection to an agency saying yes? Okay. So some things that I think are very key that I believe are going to help you, because I know it helped me a great deal. So I definitely want to share that with you. And this is all during the aspiring model phase, because I spent a great deal of time trying to break into the model industry. And the thing about time is that as a female, this is a short-lived profession for us. And so we don't have a lot of time trying to figure things out and what to do, and we just don't have that kind of time. So at Model Boot Camp, I really want to minimize that time frame for you, and this is through my experience, what I experienced, and the things that helped me to be signed. And it took me quite a while. It didn't happen like that. It took me a while, and that was time that I think that was time I could have been working, but instead I was just still being rejected. Still facing rejection. But I want to share with you some things that you can do so that that doesn't have to be your story for a year or two. Anyway, the other thing is learning definitely your market, the type of photos that an agency is wanting. That's important. The photographer to shoot or test with, that's important, because, and actually I think one of the main things when it comes to you being marketable, for me, you might see yourself one way for this industry, but that's not what the agency is looking for, or that's not the marketplace that you happen to reside. Now, how do you learn this? How do you learn what's acceptable? How do you learn what it is that you need to do? Well, I'm going to cover that at Model Boot Camp, which is November 4th. After I get through the industry phase of the boot camp, and there's so much when I look at the agenda, and I'm like, well, what can I leave out? Well, everything that I feel that I'm sharing with you, gosh, it was everything that helped me. It was everything that I learned through trial and error and things that cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And so I'm just going to get through that agenda, try to get through that, share it with you, and move on to posing and positioning. Posing and positioning as a model, that's your job. And when you book a job, the client is often standing somewhere in the background behind the photographer. They're just looking at you on set. The photographer, he's making sure the lighting, and he's checking the settings on his camera, and he's testing lighting and making sure that he's producing the image that the client wants. Then there is the model, and your job is to pose after pose after pose after pose after pose, and to constantly come up with a different pose. Whether you're on set for 3 minutes or for 3 hours, your job is to pose. I can't remember a time when I was on a job that the photographer would tell me what to do. I just can't recall that happening out of all the clients that I've worked with. And I want to say, because I just want to say that didn't happen. It just never happened. I might be wrong, but I just cannot recall that ever happening. So definitely, I want to make sure. My goal, November 4th, is to make sure that you never, ever have to ask another photographer, what do I do now? So that's the job that I hope to accomplish. And I want to say that I am 99.99% certain that you will never have to ask another photographer what to do again after Model Boot Camp. So November 4th, you are going to definitely, I know that your posing and positioning, all of that will improve. There's one model stance that every model should know, whether you're sitting, whether you're standing, whether you're lying down. There's one position that every model should know and be aware of, and also be able to produce time and time and time, because it's going to be the foundation for your positioning. And I'm going to definitely share that with you at Model Boot Camp, November 4th. The other thing, after we get through posing and positioning, there are 2 positions that in my opinion, models should not do. One of them is iffy. I think there's a time, but definitely when it comes to your facial expressions, when it comes to your positioning, your body, and what you're doing as far as posing, there are some things that I think you should steer away from, and or steer from doing. Sorry. The other thing is that after posing and positioning, we're going to go right into runway. Now, I actually know how to work the runway, but runway is that's not my market. That's not what I do. Early on, when I was a junior model, I did quite a bit of runway. As a junior model, I remember Tommy Hilfiger booking me for his show. I would book, dealers and pennies. I would book all the back to school stuff. So as a junior model, yes, I did quite a bit of, runway as a junior model. But of course, the marketplace, the industry tells me that, I don't meet their standards for runway, but that's okay, because I was a print model, am still a print model, and I love what I do. So, but I enjoy runway. I enjoy training and teaching runway and runway techniques. in helping models to become better and to become more refined, to have an elegance and a grace with regard to your walk and how you move, just, you know, your whole technique with regard to runway. And that is the same for posing and positioning in front of the camera, you know, just to really refine where you are now to the model that you're still becoming. And even for me, you know, even at this point in my career, I mean, I'm still, you know, well, I have to say that I stay in my market. I'm just going to be honest with you. You know, when I know that a lot of you, when you shoot, and of course, there are some things I think that are just fun and, you know, you enjoy them. That's well and fine, but keep in mind, and the one thing that I'm going to be sharing at Model Boot Camp is that you really want to be able to make sure that your photos, that you represent the market that best fits you and what's suitable for the agency, because the agency is definitely signing models according to the market. And so with that in mind, you know, I'm going to really share with you where to get that information. How do you know, well, I'm going to share with you where to go, where to get that information so you can develop yourself and become marketable where an agency wants to sign you. Other than that, guys, I tell you, I just want to come on here and say hello, introduce myself. I am Sonja Byrd. I'm going to be facilitating Model Boot Camp November 4th. That is this coming Saturday. It's at Vive by Design Fitness and Dance Studio in Arlington, Texas at 2704 West Park Road Drive. And gosh, it's going to be so much fun. It's the first time in this capacity that I'm going to be working with a handful of aspiring models and models. So I'm looking forward to meeting and training with you face to face and welcoming you to Model Boot Camp.